So you have seen very, very much, really in the past week, of course. Very, very much. Most of this is down to the fault of Sam Tarry. Let's face it, it's Sam Tarry's fault. And before we even get into this conversation, it is worth pointing out because a lot of people are getting this wrong. Let's correct the record. Sam Tarry was not, quote, sacked or got the sack from just going down to those protests. That wasn't the case. He wasn't just sacked for that. He was sacked because he went on to Sky News and started to essentially, off the hoof, essentially, dictate what he said was Labour policy. But of course, it wasn't Labour policy. He made up his own policy right there on the fly. That's why he was let go. You cannot have an MP randomly going off and saying, yeah, I'm going to just start, dictating a brand new policy, even though it's not approved by the party or even any of the rest. Now, of course, you are allowed to say what policy you would like to support or see in the party. But the problem was Sam Tarry put it forward as if the policy that he was speaking about was the policy of the Labour Party, not his own sort of personal opinion. That's why he was sacked. So I think it needs to, before we even start this discussion, reminding people that's why he got the sack. That's why he was let go. Because there are a lot of people saying, oh, no, it's because he went down and supported the strikes. No. He went off the hoof and basically started, freestyling Labour policy. And you cannot do that. Remember, Priti Patel did the same thing, except with foreign policy regarding Israel. So was it wrong at the time for, David Cameron to punish Priti Patel for what she did? Because if that's the case, then you are supporting Priti Patel in a bizarrely roundabout way. But overall, I think this obscures a far larger conversation. And I think it's a far larger conversation that we on the left need to really seriously have. And that is, of course, the matter of policy. Because I am very, very much so and very, very much on the board of, look, yes, I am supportive of these strikes. They are, the unions, and key point there being the unions, are doing their thing. So let the unions do their thing. And I'll tell you what, Mick Lynch, absolutely fantastic. He's been putting on an absolutely cracking show during these strikes. And he's laid out his positions very good and communicated that fact very good as well. Every single interview he's done, TV performance, radio, whatever, he's done an absolutely cracking performance. And not just him, I think his deputy as well, although I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, but he's done an absolutely cracking job as well. So the future of the railways isn't going to be decided potentially by, of course, the Labour Party. It will be very much down to the businesses that run the Labour Party, and as we are seeing now at the moment, the unions having that discussion around the future of the Labour Party, because not the Labour Party, but the future of sort of the British Railways, because we are seeing sort of the rise in sort of more, driverless trains, of sort of more protective and safety procedures. You've probably walked in past a train station now, and you see, you've got the ticket office that's the manned one, and then you've got the unmanned ticket, those where you just walk over and start, pressing the buttons. That's a real change that the Labour Party, a political party, I want to add, doesn't really have a say in. That's up to the unions. And I'll tell you this now, the unions have been doing an absolute cracking job. So as I say to them, let the unions do their thing. The Labour Party, meanwhile, should be focusing on what policy is going to really not just help those workers that are currently striking, but all the workers up and down the country. So remember that a Labour Party in power will do far, far more, not only for just those workers currently striking and those potentially striking in the future, but we've got to think about policy. What policy can we bring and introduce to help these people so that they don't have to go on strike, or that the unions have greater, power to be able to sort of, influence and have more say in these businesses? Should we be looking at sort of, for example, for Germany's example, where all big businesses have a union representative on their board? Should we be thinking about that as policy? And I think this discussion about whether or not Labour should or should not, support these strikes is obscuring the conversation that we should be having, and that is one of policy. Look at the big, the current trend at the moment, the big resignation, as it's being dubbed. Working from home. Where are the people on the left talking about the policy to help people who are, want to work from home? Making sure that they get paid the exact same wage as maybe their counterparts who work in the office, or people who decide to go, today I'm going to work from home. They might normally work in the office, but they might just go, today I'm going to work from home. Why aren't we, helping shape policy to help defend them and making sure that they've got rights and they are paid, the same wage as maybe that people who might work full time in the office, because maybe that's their decision to go work full time in the office. They may not like working from home, or maybe they'll only like, working from home, 1, 2, 3 days a week, and then the rest of the time they want to spend it in the office. They may maybe only spend 1 day a year, working from home. But we've got to look and find a way to shape policy to allow them to do that. And that's the big discussion that I think we see lacking in all this. Where is the policy? That's what I want to see. That's what I would far, far, far more want to see discussion focus around. Not whether or not, it's right or not for Keir Starmer to support these strikes, but where's the policy? And of course, there's a lot of people who say, well, Starmer's got no policy, but we've heard, Ed Miliband say he wants to increase the power of the unions. We've heard Ed Miliband talk several times. Again, he's the shadow business secretary. If Labour get into power, he becomes the business secretary. He talked about increasing workers' rights and supporting those people who want to work from home. So while that is sort of important, it's really important to start having the conversations of how we are going to shape that policy and what it is exactly we can do. So that's what I would like to see from all this. And I think these discussions about whether or not, they have Labour MPs on the picket line or not, pointless. We should be having policy discussions. How can we help not only those workers currently striking, but all those workers across the UK? How can we help improve them? That's the question we should be having. And unfortunately, it's not the conversation that is happening at the moment. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a motivation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button. And of course, you can join the YouTube subscription thing I have called the Pony Club. As always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, we'll see you all next time.